Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I am your host, Hery Acosta. As you can see, we got a new mic today. Hopefully, the audio sounds pretty good. But today, we're just going to be talking about Pacers free agency. Free agency starts today at 6 o'clock. As of right now, Pacers, the only moves they've made are the draft day trades. Nothing too crazy, but there is a lot to talk about, and we're just going to start it off with probably the one name that everyone's been talking about that's not named Tyrese Halliburton. It is Myles Turner, our free agent. This all depends on really what direction the Pacers want to go after the injury. As of right now, the Pacers want to give Turner a contract. Could be it as of right. Turner wants a big contract. We all know he's been getting decent contracts throughout his whole career. He's never really been a star player. He has been a very valuable asset to this team. You know, he's one of the best shot blockers that we've seen in the NBA. He's led the league in blocks before. But as of right now, everything's looking like he's going to re-sign. And the Pacers are going to go into the luxury tax if they do re-sign him for the first time in over 20 years, which is a very impressive number, actually. But I personally would think bring Turner back. Now, if there's other options at center that could fit better than Turner, I would say try to get them, and then if you can sign Turner, do it. But Turner really failed to show up in the NBA Finals. He had a good playoffs up until the Finals. But, yeah, there was some games he was sick. But at the end of the day, you got to show up when you got to show up. But Turner could go for a decent amount. If the Pacers don't want to re-sign him, I would say try to get a sign-and trade with another team, just so they don't just let him walk. But that's not always the easiest thing to do. So that's going to be one that's going to be highly monitored just because of how important he is. And so kind of transitioning into getting front court depth. Pacers have been racking up guards because of the Tyrese Halliburton injury. And that's something else I'm going to talk about later on. But as of right now, Siakam, Obi Toppin, Jarris Walker, and Isaiah Jackson. That's pretty much what the roster is outside of free agency. Because Thomas Bryant, Tony Bradley, they're all free agents this year. I guess you can consider Johnny Furphy front court as well because he's technically a small forward. But because Turner's a free agent, most of our centers are free agents. And there's not really looking like Tony Bradley and Thomas Bryant will come back. Bryant will probably get a good deal somewhere else rather than Indy. But just going out there, finding a good center, whether as a starter or a backup, seeing what players are available, not even just free agents, but players that maybe aren't too happy with their current roster. I'm going to say it now before I kind of transition into what trades could be made. Clint Capella has been on the trade block for years in Atlanta, and a team that he could go for would be the Pacers if they don't end up re-signing Myles Turner. Capella's a guy that can get you 10, 15 rebounds a game. He's a good defender. He's a high field goal percent shooter, but he's not a guy that's going to give you 20 points a game. He's probably going to give you 8 to 10, 10 to 15, depending on his role. He kind of lost his starting lineup role to Okongwu, who was a high draft pick back in 2020 and has been a good player so far in the NBA, one of the best players on the Hawks. And I'm just going to switch over a little bit to just kind of what trades you can bring. Obviously, I talked about a Lauri Markkanen trade, and I talked about a Cam Johnson trade in one of my last episodes. Cam Johnson's the most realistic just because he's been linked to the Pacers since last year's trade deadline. Kind of shocked that he hasn't been getting the buzz that he got at the beginning of the 2024-2025 season. Everybody thought that Johnson was going to be linked to pretty much every team just because he's a good wing. He can stretch the floor. He's a good shooter. And he's just someone that can get you 20 to 30 points a game. Not fully consistently, but he is a good scorer. He's a good rebounder. And really just someone that you bring to your team and your team is going to get better. So I think Pacers could bring in someone like Cam Johnson. But the thing is, bringing someone like Cam Johnson or Lauri Markkanen means that someone like Benedict Mathurin, Ben Shepherd, or just players like that will have to be involved in these trades. So the team might look a lot different if they end up going that route. But the Pacers have never really been like go-getters in free agency. They'll sign a player here and there, but a lot of their stuff do come from trades. Obviously, Halliburton was a mid-season trade, but Nesmith was a off-season trade. Obi Toppin was an off-season trade. That was a robbery, by the way. That was a really good trade the Pacers made for Obi Toppin. Obviously, back when we had Jalen Smith, he was a mid-season trade. But Pacers are a very small market. They've never really been the go-to destination for free agents. Now, after a finals appearance where they were one game away from winning an NBA championship, they could end up being a pretty valuable destination, especially with Siakam still being a star player and all the role players doing their jobs. It's going to be a little different now that Halliburton's injured, but there might still be some players that could sign just for the thing to play with Halliburton. So that would be pretty nice. And then, speaking of Ty, there's a lot that has to be done after the injury. Losing your star player, torn Achilles in Game 7, you don't really see that too much. Obviously, the Warriors lost KD back against the Raptors in 2019, but that wasn't a Game 7 situation. So there's just a lot. Obviously, they picked up some good guards in the second round of the draft, so that's kind of a start. They had locked in a few players last year. Nembhard and McConnell signed to new contracts. But just seeing how the Pacers can do with Mathurin, or just to see how a player like Ben Shepherd, if he stays on the team, like if there's no trades, these are valuable players, very good players. But the Pacers just have to figure out what they want to do if they want to continue trying to be a dominant team. I think they could be good without Halliburton. Now, the only issue is Halliburton dictates the game a lot. Like, even if he scores 6 points, he can get you 15 assists and just open up the game. If he's being triple teamed, someone's going to be wide open. If he's being doubled, someone's going to be wide open. And he can make those plays. He can make those passes. So that's just something that the Pacers are going to have to deal without for pretty much all of 2025, 2026. Which, yeah, the East is looking a little bit open just because the Celtics have already pretty much blown up their team by trading Holiday and Porzingis. And Tatum is out for the season. So right now they just got Jaylen Brown and Derek White from that 2023-2024 championship team. So Pacers could still look good. Siakam will just have to pretty much drop 30 a game and then everyone else do their job. Or just some other role players becoming all-stars. I could realistically see Nembhard or Nesmith, or if Mathurin starts, them all being potential first-time all-stars. Just because of the way they play. They're all go-getters. They all play their roles very well. And so that'll be interesting to watch, just to see what the Pacers actually do after this injury. But, as always, I'm Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go, Sirs.